Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report, another company update, this time from Novo Resources. I am chatting with Mike Spreadborough, Executive Co-Chairman, and Kas De Luca, the General Manager of Exploration at Novo. Novo is traded on the TSX and the Australian Stock Exchange under the symbol NVO, also on the OTCQB under the symbol NSRPF. This is a broad exploration update going around the company's portfolio projects in Australia. We're going to start in New South Wales at the Pilbara Gold Project and the John Bull Project. These ones are the newest projects to the company's portfolio. So, Mike, let's bring you in here first. As I said, these are the newest projects into the company, both gold focused. Early on exploration happening. Talk to us about the strategy in New South Wales, please.
Yeah, good to catch up again, Cory. So, a reminder, very busy period for Novo Resources from now all the way through to July. As we've announced previously, we've got a drilling program that has just commenced at Balla Balla. People will see some of those results through May. We then move to Pilbara. So, Kas will give us a good update on that program and what's really driving that. And then after that, we move to John Bull over near the coast in New South Wales after Pilbara, so sometime in June. So, this is a result of the programs that we add or the projects that we added to our portfolio in December, the high-grade projects that have had previous owners, good drilling results, which got us excited. We think they've got a great potential to grow the mineralisation and, who knows down the track, but we're really excited about them. So that strategy of us looking for high quality projects to build out our portfolio is really being executed on the ground now. So extremely exciting for us and our great team.
Okay, Kas, let's get you in here talking about the most recent news release, April 2nd. Some surface work at the Pilbara project, again, in New South Wales. Talk to us about what's happening here, how this is progressing towards drilling, please.
Right, thanks to be back. Good to be back, Cory. This is one of our really exciting new projects at Pilbara. It's right up in the northwestern corner of New South Wales, around 200 kilometres north of Broken Hill. It is targeted for gold, and there is an area there called the Albert Goldfields, which is a known prospecting goldfield from, the early 1900s. We went back there to do a targeted field program because we really want to make sure that we're putting money into drilling in the right areas. The program was actually focused on a second prospect called the Clone Prospect. Manhattan have done a lot of work on a new Bendigo prospect, but we think there's immediate potential to expand and extend the Clone target. Previously, only 11 holes have been done there, and some really good drilling results have shown that the mineralized trend there is really important. Best numbers include around 7 meters at 7 grams, including 3 at 16. So we know there's high grade gold there, and we're really keen to follow that up. We've done a bunch of mapping and sampling, some detailed mapping as well, and identified some really important structures, one of which we're calling the Clone Thrust. We know there's gold mineralization on this particular structure because now we've sampled it at surface. So the work that we've completed in the field, it was a 3-week program with half a dozen people. We've mapped, we've sampled, we've done geochemistry. We've got a really coherent 600-meter long soil anomaly with best results of 1,500 ppb and 1,400 ppb gold. And we've also done rock chip sampling wherever we could find outcrop with peak results of 89.6 and 41.9 grams from mullock dumps that we know are associated with historical workings, and also directly quartz vein outcrop across 700 meters of strike, including 31 and 10 grams per ton. So what we've done is we've become much more confident now that we've defined a structure that's really important. The gold mineralization we think is associated with it, as is a bunch of alteration. And now we've got a 2,000 meter targeted RC drill program that we're hoping will commence in April. We've got all the compliance, heritage, government approvals, everything ready to go. And as soon as we finish drilling at Balla Balla, we'll be heading out that way.
So this 2,000 meter program, This is relatively shallow RC drilling, I think. So about how many holes do you think you'll be able to get into this target?
At the moment, we've planned 20 holes, and the deepest may be around 200 meters, so it's not too bad in terms of how shallow. We're basically targeting a series of sections to be more confident that this trend is real. It'll still be on reasonably large spaced sections, around 80 meters, and obviously, as soon as we hit success, there'll be some infill drilling planned. Also, just to keep in mind, this is only sort of around 3 kilometers of these really broad trends that we've identified in the Manhattan ground. We've got over 30 kilometers of mineralized trend that after clone we'll start to assess.
Okay, that figure one, it shows that map of your claim package here. Are there any other projects around this Pilbara project that have deposits that you can use or we can use as a potential similar, I guess, comparison to this asset?
We think the geology is very similar to the Victorian goldfields. I know that's way further south, but historically that's how it's been assessed. In terms of prospectivity for gold, there's only one or two groups that are doing minimal work around that district. There is more work looking for base metals, of the Broken Hill sort of style. But we really like this area because, we've got a huge tenement package there. We've got all these mineralized trends, and we really are the first people to do really broad systematic mapping and sampling and exploration to try and upgrade the prospectivity here.
Mike, just to bring you in quickly, talking budget for this 2,000-meter program, what does it cost in New South Wales at the Pilbara project to drill?
Oh, generally across Australia, the dollar per meter for Aircore RC Diamond is very similar. We pay a little bit more for Pilbara given mobilisation, etc. there. But as I think we're spending around about $250,000 direct drilling costs on this project plus assaying costs.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so it's well and truly within our funding budget and forecast for this year. We remain well funded all the way through to the completion of this drilling through to July. So we're in a good position in that regards.
Okay, that's still not overly high drill costs for what we're seeing more around the world. But Kaz, let's get you in here in terms of John Bull then. What's going on at John Bull? When can you get drilling there? What other work needs to happen before you get drilling?
So we decided to do regional field programs at both Pilbara and John Bull in February. And you've got to realise in Australia, February is hot and pretty horrible to work. So my team's done a fantastic job even getting out there with those conditions. We hit lucky with the Pilbara area. It was very hot but dry, no rain. We could do all the work we wanted to do. But unfortunately at John Bull, we hit a whole bunch of rain. So we need another stage of field reconnaissance to be able to sort out the geology and get those drill targets that I talked about with Pilbara. We just want to really firm up our targets, given drilling's expensive. It's an expensive part of the business, and we want to be sure that we're drilling exactly the right areas. So the plan for John Bull is really to do one more tranche of field work once it's stopped raining, and unfortunately it's still raining, which will probably be around late April, May, hopefully, in readiness to really get those drill targets firmed up to get the drill rig out there in around June, I think, as long as it stops raining. Fingers crossed.
Okay, keeping that drill rig there, that'll go there. Third, let's talk about where it's drilling right now. The Aircore drilling program at Bala Bala, that was announced March 20th. Looks like about 6,000 meters that are going to be drilled at Bala Bala. Talk to us about the targets, about the overall strategy of this program, please.
The Aircore program is going really well. You've got to realise that this is a fairly reconnaissance sort of stage conceptual target that we're doing at Bala Bala. We've identified some really important structural connectivity in the Pilbara that we really like. The Shoal Shear Zone is a fertile, large-scale structural feature that goes over 200 kilometres in the Pilbara. And our geological interpretation has shown that there are some complex folding and structural complexity that we think is a likely position for gold and gold mineralization. We've got several prospects that we've identified that we're going to test. but we are testing it with Aircore drilling rather than RC drilling because there's some cover. So really the first pass here is looking for geochemistry at the basement. We've got a drill rig in there that actually does a really good bottom of hole sample, so we get a great look at the geology. And yeah, it's looking really good. We're about a third of the way through already, so it's another 2 or so weeks of drilling up there, and we'll happily get those samples off to the lab for analysis.
So with Aircore drilling, again, it's kind of first pass drilling, right? It's early on exploration. What do you hope to hit here? What's reasonable in terms of potential results that would, first of all, draw you back, but also give you more confidence that you have made a discovery?
Well, the reason that we're doing Aircore and we're taking our time at the bottom of the hole, Aircore can be really fast and furious, but you don't always get a really good bottom of hole sample. When I say bottom of hole, that means we are actually in the basement. We're actually in the rocks that host the gold. And not only would we be looking for obvious gold anomalism, but we were looking for pathfinder mineralization and for alteration. So we'll map the rocks, and then we will do multi-element work on the bottom of hole sample to look for pathfinder elements. We can use the pathfinders to vector towards gold or VMS systems. Our target here is gold, but we know there are other base metals as well up and down the shoal shear zone. So the Aircore drilling will cover several kilometres. So it's not just a small area. This is covering quite a large strike trend. And that will definitely use the pathfinders to focus in on the targets.
What are the pathfinder minerals? What should we be watching out for?
For gold, it's mostly arsenic and antimony up in the Pilbara. If you recall the work that's been done at Hemi, the minerals that are associated with that mineralization, and we think it could be quite similar, are arsenopyrite and some antimony in the stibnite. Maybe not. We'll definitely look at those sorts of things, however.
Okay. Mike, get you back in here in terms of broadly exploration here. You have one drill program underway. It sounds like you're going to just continue drilling, but move the drill over to New South Wales. What else could we expect on the exploration front for Novo?
So I think people can expect a lot of news flow between now and, July. So this week we put the announcement out to explain to people the drilling that will happen in Pilbara. When we get some Pilbara results, people should see that flow through. You'll see somewhere, as Kaz said, probably early May, we'll put out details on the John Bull project and what we see in the soils there and the drilling. And then that will follow up with the results from Pilbara and eventually the results from John Bull. So a huge, exciting news flow all the way through. Once we completed John Bull, depending on results and priorities, we have still got a large number of projects in the Pilbara which we want to go back and do first pass exploration. So you'll see us do that type of work that we're doing at Balla elsewhere in the Pilbara later on the year, depending on results of Pilbara and John Bull, which are really our priorities. So it's a pretty exciting year all the way through. If people get a chance to look at our updated corporate presentation, you can see we've got a great exploration portfolio now, a good pipeline of early stage to late stage exploration. And we're still focused on finding other projects to bring into the mix, whilst our focus remains on gold. We've got this little bit of an eye on copper. We've seen copper prices climb in recent times. The world is short of copper. We definitely see in Australia an absolute lack of exploration in copper. So we are keeping an eye out on copper because we think it would add good value to our portfolio. So exciting times, Cory.
So, Mike, essentially it does sound like really going out there trying to make new discoveries with the drill bit. What kind of money does the company have or access to capital to keep this exploration going?
Yeah, so we are, in terms of pure cash, we're well funded all the way through all of this work that I've just talked about, which is really good. Obviously, if there's results and we want to accelerate drilling programs, we'll need to look at that. We do have the potential, if we wish, to call on some of our investments that we have on our books, but we'll always, manage our funds as we go forwards based on exploration results. So we're in a good position compared to many others.
Okay. Mike, thank you for the update. Kaz, also thank you for the insights on what the drilling is and what's going to come. I'll post a link to the Novo website beneath this interview. Please send me any questions you have for the team over at Novo, and I'll follow up with them. Also, I'll follow up when we get some more drill results. So, Mike, Kas, thank you very much for the update today.
Thanks, Cory.
Thanks, Cory.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Cory.
Cory.